like to try to explain in a little bit more detail this solution that we've been referring to as the megablocks, or how we integrate a second blockchain with the first blockchain and why we do that. In a conventional blockchain, as others have stated, in order to have a new node join the network, you have to start by downloading all of the previous transactions. So if you start 1 year after the network launch, you download a year's worth of previous transactions. If you start 100 years after the network launch, you have to download 100 years of previous transactions and apply them one by one in order to actually rebuild the current state of the blockchain. So the process we envision is to use a certain kind of a shortcut, in the sense that every X blocks, to make the math easy, let's say every 1,000 blocks, we want to take a snapshot of the exact current state of the database, so that a new node who joins the network only has to download that one state file, that one compressed state of the database, as a starting point, and to start from there. In order to do this securely, I think the most obvious question that you'd face is, how can you prove that the snapshot you're starting from is the correct snapshot, is the correct state? The reason that other blockchains rebuild completely from the beginning is to prove to themselves completely that the state of the blockchain that they actually have once they get up to date is precisely the correct state, and that it hasn't been modified by anyone improperly. So in order to address this problem, we add a second blockchain, which has a much, much slower block time. So it generates a very small number of blocks over a period of time, and periodically, one of these blocks will contain some information that describes a particular snapshot. Upon receiving this block on the second blockchain, all of the nodes who receive it will validate it by comparing the hash of that database state to the hash of their current database state. If the hash is a misrepresentation, if it's not the current state, then this block will be rejected by the network. So in this way, we start by taking, you could say, much longer steps from the very beginning of time up until we get a state that we can use from that time to take the much smaller normal blocks, the smaller granular steps, to rebuild the exact current state of the blockchain. So we think that this uses the same essential security mechanism that a blockchain uses conventionally, which is that you download blocks from the beginning and you can validate each block was forged the correct way. The only difference is that we take bigger steps from the beginning with a lot of small, mostly empty blocks that we can prove were forged in the correct way, until we get to a point where the network can agree. So let's say that I start with a new node on the network. The process that I would undergo is to connect to other nodes on the network, download this much, much slimmer blockchain up until the point that it contains the hash of the most recent state of the database that's been captured. Then I can go to those same nodes and download the chunks of that database state and reassemble them on my machine and import them into my database. And from there, I can continue to download the most recent blocks in a normal way. So we think that this is our current approach for how to expedite the blockchain download. In this way, even if the blockchain runs for 100 years, the amount of metadata that's needed to be downloaded the first time is tiny compared to the actual, say you don't have to go back 100 years and reapply everything that happened. So we think this will help people get on the network much, much faster.